morning and welcome. We are going to use the microphones just because with the mask on, it's just a little easier to project.
All right, so I'm Buntin. Thank you for the introduction already. I'm one of the 5th grade teachers at Hong Kong Academy, so that's our final year of primary school. And I'm also the upper primary coordinator representing grades 2 through 5 as well in the leadership team.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Virginia Hunt. I'm the primary school principal. I am in my 14th year at Hong Kong Academy, and I joined the school as a very proud educator, but also as a parent. Both of my children have come through Hong Kong Academy. I have a daughter who's a senior graduating college this year, and my son is graduating Hong Kong Academy this year, and both of them came through the school. And as a family, we selected Hong Kong Academy for all of its vision and values that we hope to share with you today. So our session today is on the importance of engaging learners, and it's something that really has always been at the forefront for us. But when schools went online last year, back in early February, we really felt that we had to really delve further into this, because we had a range of learners in a range of different homes learning, and how do we keep kids motivated, engaged, and wanting to learn? And we had to really go back to what are our vision and our values. So just to give you a little history of Hong Kong Academy, we are celebrating our 20th year. Very exciting for us. Thank you. We did come from very humble beginnings. We started with 2 amazing visionaries, also native New Yorkers like myself, and they had a vision of something they wanted for their children. And what they recognized was that there were many schools in Hong Kong, but they seemed to really be, there was the American school, the Canadian school, the Swiss French school, the Australian school, and they wanted something that would really reflect the world and be authentic and inclusive. So their mission was to be deliberately diverse and to be small, so that would be a community school. And what the school does is they seek a range of different nationalities, a range of different learning styles. We have talented and able children, we have children who are developing, we have our neurotypical developing students. So again, very similar to the world that they were going to grow into, but that the school would reflect the world and not just be one group of people or cater to one group of people. So we have over 40 nationalities at our school. 40. And we also are very committed to being an educational leader. So we feel that it's not just our responsibility to our community, but also to the larger international community. So you'll find that many of our educators are trainers. They present internationally as well as regionally. And we value it so much. We recognize the importance of it for our educators. So on Wednesdays, our students leave at about 12:30, and our teachers stay and have these rich, important conversations about the learning and working with children. That's when we do some really rich professional development with them, because it is important that they continue to learn and grow just as much as the students. We're also a school very, very committed to community. So we value the talents, the treasure, and the time that our families give us, and we want them to be part of our classrooms. So we invite them in, they come out on field trips with us, they act as experts with us on field trips.
And Virginia's spoken a little bit about this mission that, originally when the founders of the school, Teresa Richmond and Ben Frankel, created Hong Kong Academy, they very much had this idea for what the philosophy of the school would be. And we very much live and breathe that even today. And so this is our mission. It's living and breathing in everything that we do, and it guides all of the decisions that we make through the school. And that's board-aligned decisions, head of school decisions, decisions made by principals, and also within the classrooms as well. And so even as we're looking at planning for teaching and learning from pre-K right the way through to grade 12, this is something that we look to ensure that it's alive and well. And so you can see just through looking at some of the bolded and colored words, they very much highlight some of the things that make us unique as an international school in Hong Kong. And so we have a dynamic learning community, a rigorous international education, and also recognize that that word rigor can look differently for every child, which is really important to us when we have an inclusive school. We are educational leaders, as Virginia's already mentioned. Pathways to individual excellence, recognizing that every child can achieve excellence in their own way. We look at engaging in responsible action, making sure that every day children come into a captivating and learning environment. Actually, not even just children, but teachers as well. Any staff member who's at the school, I would say that they would definitely agree with that. And we're also a sustainable school. So all of the choices that we make as a school through, including ordering every year for classrooms or for furniture, designs, anything like that, we make sure that our choices are sustainable. We're a plastic-free school. We try to make sure that all the paper we use is recycled, things like that.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. So we're going to be talking a bit about engagement, but we also want to share the way that we approach teaching students. And we expect students to come with prior knowledge. We expect them to explore and discover their world, how it works, their role in it. And in doing so, they reflect that back to us. And one of the reasons that I love having this image of some early childhood drawings of flowers that children drew is that when children are being taught, they can be directed or they can be given opportunity to explore. And so when children are given opportunities to explore, they're able to express themselves in the way that they see the world through their perspective. And so this idea that every student would create something just a little bit different and that every flower would not look exactly the same because it wasn't directed. It was an opportunity for children to be exposed to their environment and to reflect that in how they experienced it.
And so thinking about student engagement, for us, every day that the kids come in, we're looking to make sure that not only are they highly engaged in everything that they're learning, but that they become self-directed, creative, connected, confident, curious, happy, successful, self-motivated, eager to learn. And we really value that student choice and voice in ensuring that they have this high level of engagement every day and become owners of their learning.
And this very much is our philosophy, and it truly came to light when we went online, because now we had to do all of these things remotely, and we really had to put our teaching to the test. So what we know is that when we want to engage students, we do it through giving them opportunities for discovery, opportunities to collaborate and be social, making sure that their learning is purposeful, relevant, and joyful. If there's anything that we learned during the online time is that learning cannot happen without joy. So let me talk a little bit about the role of inquiry. And so those of you who may be new to an International Baccalaureate program, so we run a primary years program at our school. We are an IB World School. We offer all three programs. And the IB for the primary years and the middle years is a framework. It then goes into more of a content-driven program once you get up into the diploma, which is the last 2 years. But I think the best way to describe inquiry to you is that you are all on an inquiry right now. You are coming to this experience with prior knowledge. You went to school, you have friends who have shared with you their children's experience in going to school. You may have relatives, you may have younger children who have been at school, so you have some knowledge of schooling. You're now going out into your social and natural world, and you're having these interactions, and you're learning. You're learning being at this fair, you're gaining knowledge, you're asking questions. You're going in search of knowledge. You're learning from each other because you hear someone ask a question, you're like, that's a really good question. I'm going to ask that to the next school. So again, having these interactions with your social and natural world. Now you've gained all this knowledge, and what are you going to do? You're going to go home, you're going to sort it out. You're going to say, oh, this school offers this, and this school offers this. And as you analyze and synthesize it, you're going to start to draw some conclusions. And as you draw conclusions, that's the knowledge that you have just gained. And taking the knowledge that you've gained, you're going to change your behavior because you're going to make a decision about where you send your child to school, and you're going to take action. And that's very much what happens when children go through an inquiry at school.
And I think jumping on from that, looking at this idea of collaboration is very much something that we value in classrooms. And so as the students engage in this inquiry-based learning approach, we're looking at making sure that they have all these opportunities to engage in inclusive learning and be part of our community in a way that they can really work together, recognize each other's differences, uniqueness, and also similarities in order to really shine as individuals. As Virginia mentioned, we're a PYP school, an IB PYP school, and one of the core principles of the PYP is that we teach approaches to learning. And 2 of the approaches to learning out of 5 are social skills and communication skills. And these really support us in developing those kind of foundational skill sets for children right from pre-K years all the way through, in terms of recognizing that, yes, they're individuals, but they're also part of a group. And how can you work really well thinking about the group as a whole and make sure that you are tapping into different elements of collaborative work. Part of our counseling program, we teach social thinking, and that's this idea where what I say and do makes other people feel and think things about me. And that's something that we talk to the kids about all the time. When you say or do those things, what might someone else think or feel about you? And it's, again, bringing that idea to light that, yes, you can be yourself, you can be an individual, you can take care of yourself, and you're also part of this learning community at Hong Kong Academy. And how are you making sure that you're also doing something that's going to benefit the whole community? The 7 norms of collaboration are one of the many ways that we go about teaching these collaboration skills. And so these are 7 norms that we follow as a faculty, but we also start teaching them to the children. In 5th grade, for example, the 7 norms, they all begin with the letter P, so we kind of go through and try to remember them all. But some of the ones that we teach to the 5th graders include pausing. So just that value of when you're working in a group, taking time to pause before you then share something, or when somebody's finished speaking, just to ensure that they've really had a chance to finish their thought. Another one is paraphrasing. So making sure that when someone has said something, you don't just jump in with your point of view, you actually acknowledge what it is that they've shared, and maybe deliver back to them to clarify, so what you're thinking or what you're feeling is this, and just paying attention to themselves and others.
Thank you, Carly. And I think some of the things that Carly spoke about really speak to the whole child. And that's so important to us. We don't look at just the cognitive child, but also the social emotional, the aesthetic child, the social child. All that's very important in our curriculum and the development of our students. So one of the things that we know is for children to be engaged, they have to be interested in what they're learning. They have to understand the relevance of it, the connection that they make to the larger world and themselves. They have to know that it's purposeful. So there's a reason why I'm learning this, and what am I going to do with it? We talked about taking action. Action's a very important part of learning, is being able to do something with the knowledge, apply it in new and unfamiliar situations. We also know that it has to be meaningful for our students. And again, going back to that relevance and having that purpose. So as we think about the presence of purpose, and Carly and I were talking about it, and I said, I think it might be best if we just talk about some examples. So in grade 3, one of the units that the children study is on the human body. And they learn all about the different systems and the different, ways that our body works. And one of the things that they do as part of their assessment is they actually write a pamphlet for a doctor's office. And so they might write about the circulatory system, the digestive system. And so they write a pamphlet for someone waiting to go in and see a doctor. And so they know that they've got an audience. They have a purpose for why they are sharing this information. And then they're thinking about what information is most important and most valuable for them to share. And then also, as well as, how might they outline that. So that's an example of making it really relevant and purposeful for them. In addition to that, we have our grade 5 students who go through the exhibition, and this is really a culminating time for them, but it's very much a self-directed engagement that they have. They select an issue that's really important to them, and they investigate it, and from there, then they, again, take action, and whether that's work that they do with our Cyclone Community Center or Feeding Hong Kong. Again, thinking very much about the larger world and their role and responsibility in that and the importance of service.
Can I just add on to that, Virginia? One of the things as well that we recognize as teachers is that we don't want any units to become stagnant or static. And so we replan the units that we teach every year. And so another example, in 5th grade this year, we had a unit that looked at where we are in place and time, which is one of the PYP 6 units of inquiry that we cover every year. And we recognize that the unit that we did last year wasn't as relevant this year, given everything that's happening in the world right now. And so we completely put that unit aside and we redesigned it. And so the students could then choose a social issue that they were interested in, that they had heard about in the news right now. They could look into that and look at patterns in history for us as humans, and what we either have or have not learned from some of those events in history that have led us to where we are now. And so we had children looking at the history of pandemics because they've been hearing about COVID-19 in the news. We had children looking at, a history of anti-racist movements because they've been hearing about Black Lives Matter in the news. And so you could then give them that freedom of choice to go down a route that they were interested in finding out more about. And it's real, it's authentic, it's purposeful. Thanks. Which actually ties in really nicely with this one, which is joyful agency. Now, the word joyful is in our mission as well, which you would have seen earlier on. But being agents of our learning, agency is kind of one of the new buzzwords in education for the last few years, and it just means that children have choice, voice, and ownership in what they do. And so if you're allowing students to have voice in what they want to learn, if you're allowing students to have choice in how they want to learn it, and you're allowing them to take that ownership and guide themselves through a circle of inquiry, similar to what Virginia said you all were doing today, we know that they will be self-driven, and we know that they will be self-motivated because they have ownership of it. And what better way to empower students than to give them ownership of their learning? Obviously, we're there as teachers to facilitate that learning and to support them. But this is one of the ways that we find is really impactful. And how can you support as parents? So definitely celebrating your child's learning with them as regularly as you can. Inviting opportunities for them to share with you so that you're listening and supporting them in, taking on new endeavors or taking on new learning. And also asking them questions. And, we hear all the time in the classroom, parents will say, I say, how's your day? And the kid comes home and he just says, fine, I can't get anything out of them. But we also have classroom blogs that we update once a week. And so that's a really good opportunity for parents to kind of look through the blog and say, oh, look at these photos, look at these videos that you've been doing this week. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about what you did in literacy on Wednesday. Let's look at some of these photos to help jog your memory. And so that's a really good way for you to support you in asking questions and actually getting some valuable answers from them too. And as Virginia said, you can get involved. We have so many opportunities for parents to be involved in the school. And our PTCO, our Parent Teacher Community Organization, is one of the many ways. But you're welcome to come in and share about celebrations that you have. You're welcome to come in and support students in learning how to read, being a mystery reader in classrooms where you get to read stories to them and the kids don't know that you're coming. So, it's a surprise when mom or dad show up. So lots of really great opportunities to be part of our very special community at Hong Kong Academy.
Yeah, thank you, Carly. And I want to add to that. I think of, not only is it part of them being part of our community, it's a partnership. And I think of like I said, I've been at the school for about 14 years. About 11 years ago, a group of parents came to me and they were very passionate about Mandarin. And they said, we need to make this more of a living language. And we want to be part of this. And so instead of coming and saying, what's going on with your Mandarin program, build up your Mandarin program, they came with a great idea. And they said, what if we develop something called a Panda Club? And the Panda Club will just be on the playscape when the kids are having recess, and they can come on over and they can do some Mandarin activities with us. And this has grown, and it's wonderful. We have parents who are Mandarin speakers, but then we also have parents who are non-Mandarin speakers who participate. And it's no longer just them popping onto the playscape. They have their own little table and booth that they set up on Fridays, and the students come to Panda Club. And the only requirement to come to Panda Club is that you have to use your Mandarin. And so it's engaging children in using their Mandarin as a living language. The parents design all of the engagements. They work with our Mandarin teachers, so it does correlate to our Mandarin program. But again, this is a great opportunity for our parents to get involved and to have that partnership with us. And so it was really about them coming with this wonderful idea and us embracing it. So as we get ready to conclude, what questions might you have? Well, I have a question for you, in that, you're all here, you're looking at different schools. What are you looking for in a school? Sorry? Location, okay. So where the school is located is going to be important to you. You're thinking about that being, you being part of the community, travel time, so that will be important. Mandarin. And having, yeah, and I think it's been really interesting being in Hong Kong and offering an additional language where children don't necessarily have the opportunity to use it when they go out into the community. And so there's been a wide range of things that we have done as our school to support it as a living language. And in our pre-K, our early years, for our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, all of our classrooms have 2 teachers. For 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, that second teacher is a Mandarin teacher. And so whilst the language of instruction at the school is English, we value the importance of children being immersed in it when they are 3 and 4 and 5 years old. And so that second teacher is a Mandarin teacher, and it's very much a mirror language. So everything that the teacher says in English, the Mandarin teacher is saying in Mandarin. And so whilst the concept might be taught in English, when the children go to apply it, there's a Mandarin center. So they have an opportunity to practice their Mandarin in their learning, as well as when they have snacks. So the teacher's talking about the different fruit that they might be having at snack, and then that's all being repeated in Mandarin. So again, that importance of that immersion and making it very natural and authentic for the children. And we saw that it was such a successful model for our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. We recognize that as they move into kindergarten, which is their full day program, and they then have 200 minutes a week of Mandarin, that we still wanted them to have that immersion. So we employ additional teachers who push into the mainstream classrooms. And so we have Mandarin teachers who go to PE with our kids, and they're just very comfortably using Mandarin and speaking to the children in Mandarin. Same thing, sometimes they run a literacy group, and so they might be doing a reading with a group of students. So really looking for those opportunities to, one, have children see Mandarin, have a real strong presence at the school. We have a Mandarin greeter. So in the morning, when the kids come to school, they're being greeted in English and Mandarin as they come into the school. And again, just these little opportunities to expose them to Mandarin and give them opportunities for them to practice Mandarin as well.
I'm just wondering that how the school should get the balance between the academic things. So although we try to engage the student by using these skills you just mentioned, but still, especially from the secondary level, maybe there will be some difficulties to engage the students only with these kind of things, especially the study will be difficult more and more. So how school and how parents can help the students to continue their engagement, especially when the studies gets difficult. So I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and thinking about, how do you create that balance of children having opportunities, but also the rigors of those standards. And I think what's important is that you do have your standards over here. And so these are all the things you want children to accomplish. And it's not a matter either or, it's a matter of bringing them together. And so what you want to do is you want to find ways that you can teach students these wonderful standards that you have, but also engage them, and that's through the learning. And so, I'm just thinking about some of the you'd probably be really good to give an example of how you met a standard, but really engaged students in doing that.
I think for everything that we do in class, we look at the what, the why, and the how. And the what is what we connect back to standards, right? So we're there as teachers to facilitate that learning, to say, this is your success criteria, whether it's from math or literacy or whatever other subject that they're working on it in, Mandarin included. These are the standards that we're looking to achieve in this lesson. That's the what. The how that we go about that, we might present in several different ways. And we also try to bring in challenge by choice where needed to, because we're an inclusive school. We recognize that we have a broad spectrum of learners. So we have learners that we're going to need to be able to kind of boost up, but also learners that we want to be able to extend beyond the grade level. And so we try to be quite fluid in that approach so that the activities are intentionally planned so that children can kind of take it to their own ceiling where possible. And obviously that's the how. And then the why is kind of the real purpose behind what you want the children to achieve and excel in. Yeah, and I would say that goes all the way through, from pre-K through to 12th grade. Yeah.
So we're getting the wrap-up sign, but we will be at our booth. We're the first booth in the first room. We are located in the beautiful seaside town of Sai Kung. We have a beautiful purpose-built building, and we encourage you to come visit us and see us in action, and see our students live. So feel free to stop by and talk to us at our booth, and thank you so much, and we wish you all the best in your search.
Thank you.